So the question is what and who I enjoy writing about, and this question is quite easily answered because I have one stock reply uh, in both interviews as well as my social media handles. So I like to write about watershed moments in Armenian history and pivotal characters who played roles in them through fiction and imagination. The purpose of this being that a lot of these characters and incidents from history do not feature very prominently in national level history textbooks. They might find some mention in state board textbooks, serving some of the regions, but they do not really feature very prominently in the national boards per se. For example, the national boards focus primarily on Delhi and its surrounding regions, but you can go farther north, east, or south from that region, and you have this waning coverage of the you know the leaders in those regions, the important moments from history from those regions, etc. So, to give you a few examples, you go farther north from Delhi and you do not read much about the Sikh Empire, which dominated much of, like a sliver from southern Pakistan going all the way up to modern Jammu and Kashmir. You can go east and you do not read much about this young Bengali general, or excuse me, young Massamese general who resisted the Mughals at the peak of their might. You also do not read much about the dynasties such as the Gajapatis of Odisha, who were pivotal in developing that region. You go farther south, you do not read much about the Rashtrakutas, who were a very dominant um, power in those parts, and one of the um, most monumental pieces of architecture from India, the Kailash temple, which was carved out of um, what is known to be a single piece of rock. This gargantuan piece of architecture is seldom talked about. You come farther into the Deccan, you do not know much about how the Deccan sultanates there came into being, and how they were constantly in strife with the rise of the power of the Vijayanagar Empire. And come farther down south, you do not learn about the dynasties that helped shape up the regions of modern Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Kerala. And these dynasties are the Cholas, the Cheras, the Pandyas, and the Pallavas. And in fact, one of the great South Indian emperors, Rajendra Chola, the son of the legendary Rajaraja Chola, was a mighty conqueror who earned the title of Gangai Kondan, which in Tamil means the one who conquered the paths through which the Ganga flows. So, and he was also one who led a successful invasion against the southeastern islands through his sophisticated navy from the time. So there's just so much in national history textbooks that is either underemphasized or blatantly just ignored. And it's my intention to bring these um, these events and characters to the fore through the medium of fiction and imagination, and that by itself should serve as a segue for a young readership to do their own research and learn more about. I have had many of my patrons and readers write back to me saying that they have internet searched many characters to my work, both fictitious and real. Of course, the fictitious ones they realize are fictitious only like after they do their own research, but they are very surprised to know that the real characters have had such an impact that they did, um, and that they were not very well acquainted with them, um, having been through the path of formal education. So my goal is essentially to tell the story in a fictionalized novel style, so that the young reader of the day who is not so much taken in by academic works to begin with are enticed into doing their own research and learning a little more about the history of their own land, uh, without the aspect of boredom that academic works usually start with if you hit them first. But whereas on the other hand, if you start with a novel and then you're like, huh, this looks intriguing, let me go and read a little more about this character, uh, it tends to be little less tedious than if you were to hit those books to begin with. Those who want to start with academic works, hats off to them. You have absolutely no need for my books. But my books are both meant to entertain as well as light this fire of exploration into your own roots and the the past of India, and focus primarily on an age group, from uh, the early to late teens right up to somebody who's 60. So it's fairly universal in its context.